Thank you, Mr. Shah. When I was a film journalist back in 2010, 11, and I covered some of your films during that time as well. It's a pleasure to be here back again, doing a conversation around films, but in a different context.
Thank you so much.
Let me quickly get into the discussion. You have directed, you have produced film. If we talk about design, what do you think is the importance of the role of design in storytelling? If we talk about location, set design, crafting characters, all of that. How do you see the role of design in all these aspects?
Good evening, everybody. The most important thing in any film or any story is to create a world that the story exists in. For any film, there is a specific world in which it exists. And that world is imagined by the writer, by the director, and eventually the production designer and the art team, the costume, the DOP, everybody comes together to get that world in front of the audience. And if the world is correct, you will agree with the storytelling more often than not. If the world doesn't exist in its right shape and form, you may not enjoy the story, or you may not connect with it the way it is desired. So there is a very important role of the design, which is first imagined on paper and then executed by these technicians.
So how do you kind of bring it alive? Give me some used example, of any of your films. How do you get into that? Do you kind of outsource it to your creative director? Are you hands-on into it? How is that process for you to bring that thing to life?
So, everybody has to be hands-on. I don't think producer can, in today's cinema, producer can take a backseat and just be a financer. Producer's role is much more than that. But what we do is, we imagine the story and the world in which it will exist on paper at the script level. So while writing, we do a lot of referencing of what kind of visuals we want, what kind of setups we want, what kind of location, what kind of costumes, XYZ. And then we have the production designers, they build models for us of where the film will exist. We see it on the models. If we don't agree, then we alter them. There are lots of sketches, lots of referencing. Finally, after the modeling, we also go and look at the real locations where the film can be made or produced. Once all that is set in, then begins the work of pre-production, which is very technical process where every HOD goes and contributes. For example, if we are building a location which is live location, not inside the studio, we also have to consider the sunrise and sunset, in which direction the sun will come. Accordingly, our windows will have to be placed. If our scenes are more night sequences or more day sequences, accordingly the design will have an element of the size of windows and doors and XYZ. So there is a lot that goes into creating that world. So, and then of course after the pre-production, then the actual construction and then the shooting.
And your films are larger than life, big budget, large scale production is involved. So in that mix, how do you balance the commercial appeal of a film with the creative sensibilities at the same time?
I think they're not two different things. They are the same thing spelled out in a different way. If I want to make a film commercially successful, it will have to be creatively good. Creatively good means creativity flows from the script into all the areas. How I'm going to shoot my action sequence is also creatively important, while it can have a commercial replication.
Right.
Same is with the way costumes are designed. The same is the way your DOPs work, your edit. Everything is interlinked. So you can't really separate creativity from commercial success. Very rarely we see a creatively great piece of art doesn't do well commercially or the other way around. A bad film does well. It generally doesn't happen. Sometimes it does happen, and there are other factors, then just the creative process. But I don't think that creative and commercial are two different things. We are in the business where we sell creativity. So it can't be, dissected like that.
Right. If we talk about costumes to visual effects to set design, where do you think Indian cinema still has a scope to improve? Do you think the design thinking that we currently have can become better? What are the areas that can be improved?
I think we are still learning how to merge the sets and the VFX. So if you'll see in Hollywood cinema, VFX is very, very integral part of every location. We still don't do it as well or as much as they do it, but the only reason is also it requires a lot of budget. We're still not shooting, say a film like Avatar, which is the biggest commercial success of all time in Hollywood or world cinema, was shot in a room probably double, triple of this size, the entire film. And what you see is a completely different world. We are still not doing that because that requires a kind of budget which is practically unaffordable. In today's Indian cinema, if you make a film with that kind of scale, it's never going to recover the money, even if it becomes the biggest hit of all times in Indian cinema. So that is one area where we still have to catch up. But apart from that, everything else we do at par with world cinema today. When it comes to real set building, real locations, everything.
Right. You also are a filmmaker who has made films before the OTT era. How are you kind of fitting into your old style format? Not an old style, I mean to say the format that was there, the original format. How do you build and blend it with the OTT format that is there? Was it challenging? Do you think OTT is doing justice to the cinematic storytelling compared to the traditional cinema that we had?
See, OTT is a distribution platform and it is going to distribute what is being created. OTT does not dictate any creative language. Where they are commissioning web shows or films that they are commissioning, that is where they have a creative control. But the films that they are buying, which are made for the theatrical release and then come on OTT, they don't have much of a creative call on those films. And I think we often mix these two. I mean, it's a great distribution platform. It's the future of distribution platform. Even today, it's dominating the distribution platform. But that has got nothing to do with storytelling. So if you were to say, take a film like Pushpa 2, you will say it is a conventional pot boiler that India has made over years and decades. It's also one of the biggest hit of OTT of all time. So it doesn't matter whether you made a so-called OTT-friendly film or no. If the film has worked in theater, it will work on the OTT because the audience is the same. Audience which is enjoying that film or consuming that film is not very different from theater to OTT. It's not that. So I think we should take it as a distribution platform which is very, very valuable, which is going to demand in some time a certain kind of cinematic expression or the quality. And I'm sure that filmmakers are all ready and set to deal with that.
If we talk about Indian cinema, which films have kind of impressed you of late, say in the last 5 years, in terms of their design thinking sensibilities? It can be your film as well.
See, I look at every film as a learning. I am a guy who never went to any school. I have never formally educated myself in cinema making. Neither do I assisted anybody. One day I got up and I said, I can direct, I know how to direct. And I started directing. So for me, every film is a learning process. Some films teach me what not to make and some teach me how I can make my craft better. So every film will teach you something if you want to look at it. If you are an audience, you're just looking for entertainment, that's a very different thing. But for me, that is very, very important. And you look at, there are some fantastic examples of films where they have done incredible job of setting the whole world of the film so well. Pushpa, again, in the same conversation, it's a film that is about a sandalwood smuggler. But the way they've set up every single location, the way they have created the whole world, his personality, the way he will walk, the way his shoulder will be bent. He is not a perfect hero. And yet, he becomes a superhero for audience. So that one gesture of jhukega nahi sala becomes a national gesture, so to say. So I think that film has shown us that even anti-heroes can be heroes which people would love to follow. So I think it's a great way of, changing the narrative style and yet appealing to a very large number of audience.
Do you miss the era when there was no OTT, or has OTT forced filmmakers, the large format filmmakers, to innovate? Is it good, or has it really set the traditional filmmaking decades like back? Has it pushed the business on the brinks because they are taking all the monies?
No, OTT is the way forward. It's here to stay. It's future, and it's a terrific distribution platform where your film is reaching millions and millions of people without you having a theatrical distribution. So it's a great platform. It's a forward-looking platform, and I think rather than separating theatrical film from OTT, I think we should look at it as a collaboration of what's going to work for both platforms and try and achieve that, rather than saying this will work for OTT and this will work for theatrical. I don't think there is any such demarcation between the two. But we should learn from, because on OTT you get a direct response from the viewer. There is a huge research data available for you to study about your own film. Take all of that and try and incorporate in your storytelling. I'm sure it will work, because again, at the end of the day, both the audiences are similar or same. So it doesn't make a difference whether they are watching the film in theater or they are watching the film on their OTT platform. For them, it's a good film or a bad film. The audience only decides about a film in that perspective, whether it's a good film or a bad film. I don't think they look at it, oh, this is come on OTT, so I'm going to watch it, but this film is in theater, so I'm not going to watch it. I don't think audience makes any such demarcations.
For the longest time in Bollywood, it was believed that the star cast is always important than the story. We get a star cast in place, then the story will figure out itself. And then with the coming of OTT in the beginning, I'm staying on this question, we thought that story has come back and stars have taken a back seat. But now what we see even in OTT, the stars have come there as well. So in the Indian cinema, how important is this, the fascination around star cast first? Will it ever go away? Because content itself cannot just shine without a big name. Do you feel we're obsessed with it and it's going to stay here like that?
I don't agree with that assessment that audience only wants to see stars. Stars are extremely important. They give you a very wide visibility. But just to give you an example, we just celebrated 50 years of Sholay. And Sholay is India's all-time longest running film, highest grosser. On the same day, there was another film called Jai Santoshi Ma that released on the same day, and it has probably done the same kind of business. If you look at it from today's point of view, the biggest blockbuster of this year is Sayyara, which has one new young boy and young girl, and a director, Mohit, has done an amazing job with both of them. You look at Kerala Story, my film, it had no star, but it worked for the audience, and audience came and saw it in very big numbers. So I think audience is looking for a good story told in the most fascinating way. If in that story, if there is also a star, it's an added bonus. Of course, why not I'll watch it twice, thrice. But just because there is no star, I will not watch this film. That theory is, according to me, non-existent. I have given you 3 examples. There are 300 more of films which has no star cast and they've gone on to become very, very successful films. So audience, and mainly after the emergence of OTT, audience is even more keen to look at content beyond the typical star cast. So that is today's reality. Actually, OTT is contributing in a big way to, to have a film without star cast which will work very, very well. So that cinema is getting more and more popularity. Yes, there are stars who are going and doing web shows on OTT, and that's great again, because it allows OTT to reach out to much larger audience. Because if there is a Shahid Kapoor or there is Anil Kapoor and Aditya Roy Kapoor, all these guys are coming on OTT, it allows them to take the film wider, web show wider. And why not? It's a great way of expanding your reach, and then you come with so many shows which do not have star cast of this level, and yet they've become very, very successful.
When you look back at your journey, what are the key takeaways, if you have to sum up maybe 2-3 points, as far as filmmaking, Indian cinema, its evolution, design thinking is concerned? Anything that comes to your mind?
I think the most important thing for cinema is always been the conviction of the maker. If the maker is convinced about a particular story, he is going to narrate it in a way that millions of people will get convinced. If you are not convinced but you are doing it as a project, the chances of it not doing well is very, very high. The writing of the script is the most important thing, and we have to look at what I have felt in my journey so far is that India is the most difficult market for a film to become successful, because we have big cities, we have B towns, and we have small towns and villages. What South audience likes, North audience may not like, or the city, villages or small towns in Maharashtra may not like what a UP guy likes or a Bihar guy likes. So not just various economic stratas or big city, small city, we have to also look at regions where a certain content. So how do you make a film which is universal for a guy living in Bombay, to guy living in Patna, to guy living in Kanpur, to Nashik, to Chennai, to Bangalore, to everywhere, and Gujarat? They have a completely different take on what they like as entertainment, and Punjab has a completely different take. So how do you make one film which will appeal to such a large variety of audience? This is very unique in Indian cinema, and I think that is the core strength of Indian filmmakers, where they have made films year on year that have appealed to the entire nation. So I think that has been my biggest learning, looking at other films as well as my own work. How do you create cinema which can appeal to everybody?
You know, a couple of more questions. You've kept yourself relevant, I mean, in 2000s and 90s and now as well. What is this mantra that you have for reinventing yourself and staying relevant all the time?
Never stop fighting and keep reinventing. So I started with a film called Aankhein, then I made Waqt, which was a family film. Then I made Namaste London, which was a romantic film. Then I made Singh is King, which was a caper. But then I made Commando franchise, Force franchise, Holiday. And then I made Kerala Story Bastar. So keep reinventing yourself into different genres is very, very important. And I think if you keep doing the same kind of stuff, audience gets bored of watching it. You are not able to think of new way of writing it again and again. So there is a diminishing graph of return. But if you keep reinventing yourself into new genres and don't stop learning, I don't think myself as any maestro or any such thing. I believe I'm a student and I have a lot to learn. So keep learning, That's the only way down, out, and keep your head down and keep working. Some films will work, some won't. Doesn't matter. Keep fighting.
Right. Finally, a word about your upcoming projects. What all is lined up?
So we just completed a film called Hisab that top lines Shefali, Jaideep Ahlawat and Abhishek Banerjee. It's my second heist film after Aankhein. Aankhein was about 3 blind guys robbing bank. And this is also a very unique robbery film that we have made. And we have just started shooting for a film called The Governor. Top lines Manoj Bajpayee and Ada Sharma. Again, it's a very, very inspiring, true story of India's most heroic fight to come out of a financial crisis of 89-90. A beautiful film. So these are the 2 immediate films that we are working on.
All the best, and we'll be eagerly awaiting their release. And thanks for taking out time and joining us here.
Thank you so much.